He woke her up and asked why she was not in bed. Amara, sitting beside him, explained that he had been having a nightmare, so she had come to be by his side. She asked if he was truly okay and why he had chosen to sleep on the couch. Liwei looked at her for a moment, taking her hand, and reassured her that he was fine. He was only trying to become a better man for her. Amara smiled and told him that he was already the best man for her and didn't need to do anything. Liwei didn't respond. He stood and told her they should get ready, heading to the shower and leaving Amara sitting there, confused. Later that day, Momo sat in the dorm, examining the pictures she had taken and reviewing her notes. The door opened, and Amara walked in, sitting on the bed beside her. Noticing Amara's expression, she asked if she was okay. Amara confided that she felt Liwei was losing interest in her. Momo laughed, insisting that it was impossible. Given the way he was obsessed with her, it was highly unlikely he would suddenly lose feelings. Amara explained that he no longer treated her the way he used to and was keeping his distance. When she asked him if he was okay, he simply said he was. Momo suggested that perhaps he was upset about the whole fake dating situation, but Amara, frustrated, argued that she had already asked him, and he had said he was fine. The worst part, she added, was that he had even slept on the couch, a behavior completely out of character for the man who could never stay away from her for even a second. Momo fell silent, trying to make sense of it all. After a moment, she suggested that maybe Amara could help him act normal again and that he might just be going through something. Standing up, her face lighting up, Momo shared her idea. Amara listened, curious. Momo told her that perhaps she needed to change things up a little. Scanning Amara, she explained that there was no offense meant, but for someone dating a prestigious man like Liwei, she didn't quite look the part. Amara, confused, asked what she meant. Momo clarified that she understood that as students, they didn't care much about designer clothes or dressing up, and Amara had always worn what made her comfortable, just like her with her purple hair and t-shirts. Moving closer, Momo explained that things were different now. She was dating one of the most handsome and desired men, a man who always looked polished and on point. Momo suggested that Amara needed to update her look to at least match him. Glancing at her reflection in the mirror, Amara asked what was wrong with how she looked. Momo reassured her that she was beautiful, but emphasized that changing her style slightly might make Liwei unable to resist her. She added, laughing, that she herself couldn't change hers because she wasn't dating anyone, so she would keep her purple hair until the right person came along. Giving in, Amara agreed to try. Momo, excited, exclaimed that she couldn't wait to give her the best makeover. They planned to go shopping first, then hit the salon. When Momo asked if Amara had money, she replied that she had a little, as well as Liwei's backup card, which she rarely used. Momo decided they would make full use of it, maxing it out if needed, since he was rich and wouldn't notice. Grabbing Amara's hand, Momo led her out, brimming with excitement. They arrived at the mall, visiting every clothing store they could find. Amara noticed a few people staring at her, likely due to the Kai dating drama. Momo leaned in, reassuring her not to worry. No one would harass her. She mentioned watching Kai's live stream last night, where he begged his fans and the media not to bother Amara. Afterwards, they headed to the hair salon, where Momo waited as Amara got her hair done. That evening, Liwei walked into the house and found Amara in the kitchen preparing something. He paused, struck by how different she looked, her hair, the way she was dressed. She didn't notice him at first, and he silently watched, admiring her beauty and how well the new hairstyle suited her. He thought about going over and holding her in his arms. Amara turned and smiled at him. As she was about to walk over, Liwei greeted her politely, wishing her a good day before heading to his room. Amara stood disappointed, realizing that Momo's plan hadn't worked. He hadn't even complimented her new look or held her like he normally would. As she stood there, her cell phone rang. It was Kai. She answered immediately. He asked if anyone had tried to bully her at school. Amara reassured him that no one had, though people had stared and whispered. Kai explained that he had made a plea to his fans not to harass her and was glad it had worked. He told her to inform him if anyone tried, and he would intervene. Before she could respond, someone swiftly grabbed her by the waist and pinned her against the wall. It was Liwei. His heart raced, his sharp gaze locking on hers. He moved closer, telling her that it seemed she had forgotten who she belonged to. He then took her cell phone from her hand, answering it, telling Kai to stop calling his woman at night. Then he put the phone away and moved even closer, his eyes never leaving hers. A smile tugged at Amara's lips, and at that moment, she knew her man was back. Liwei still held Amara tightly, his sharp gaze locked on her as he leaned closer, searching her eyes. He asked again if she had forgotten who she belonged to, if she had forgotten that she was his. Amara's heart raced as she shook her head, assuring him that she had not forgotten, that she had always been his, and that nothing would ever change that. Liwei chuckled softly at her answer, a sound full of satisfaction. Leaning in again, locking eyes with her, he whispered that perhaps he needed to remind her. Before she could respond, he lifted her into his arms and carried her to the couch, settling down while still holding her tightly. He slowly scanned her, taking in how breathtaking she looked, running his hands over her face and gently caressing her hair. Amara finally spoke, confessing that she had thought he didn't want to talk to her or be close to her anymore. Liwei leaned closer, telling her that how could he possibly ignore her when she looked the way she did right now. His hands continued to caress her face gently, his eyes never leaving hers. He told her that she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, and though he had intended to stay away, all he could think about was tearing the dress she wore and claiming her in a way she would never forget. Amara smiled shyly, keeping her gaze on him, and asked why he had been acting distant, saying she thought he was losing interest. She admitted that she had even changed her look to capture his attention. Liwei remained silent for a moment, studying her as if memorizing every part of her. His hand glided gently along her back while he bit his lip, fighting the urge to claim her completely. Finally, he calmed himself and assured her that he would never lose interest in her, emphasizing that this was the last thing she should ever worry about. He explained that he wanted to control his possessiveness and obsession, that he didn't want her to be scared of him or view him as toxic because of how dominant and possessive he could be. He added that he also didn't want others to think he was too overwhelming for her. For her, he was willing to maintain distance for a while until he could learn to control his emotions. Amara studied him, noting the genuine concern in his eyes, the way he truly seemed troubled by his own behavior. Leaning in, she touched his face gently and assured him that she had never thought of him as toxic or been scared of him. On the contrary, she admitted that she loved that side of him, the side that was obsessed with her. She continued, saying that if he wasn't obsessed with her, who else could he be obsessed with? She told him to stop worrying and that she loved every part of him, promising that if she disliked anything, she would tell him. Liwei's eyes narrowed at her words. He asked if she was certain and whether she wasn't just saying it to make him feel better. Amara smiled shyly, admitting that she found his obsession and his dominant side both sexy and hot. She covered her face shyly, looking away, her cheeks flushed. Liwei watched her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Leaning in, he whispered in her ear, asking what she had just called him. Slowly, shyly, she confessed that she thought he was sexy and hot. Liwei's gaze stayed locked on her, intensity radiating from his eyes. He pulled her closer abruptly, pressing her chest against his hands steady and commanding. Tilting her chin up, he brought her face nearer to his and asked if she still wanted to be his good girl, his princess. Amara, her body weakening under his dominance, nodded. A smirk crossed his lips as he gently held her neck and leaned in, crushing his lips against hers. Their lips met with a fiery intensity, each feeling the other's heat as they kissed. He slowly pulled back, his eyes scanning hers, asking her to tell him that she was his. Her body still weak, Amara whispered that she was his. Without hesitation, he kissed her again, their lips moving softly against each other. Then he asked her to tell him that he was the only man she would ever love in this lifetime and the next. Amara met his gaze and said exactly that, affirming that he was the only man she would love in this lifetime and the next. Liwei smiled slightly, whispering in her ear, calling her his good girl. He teased her, noting that she was lucky she wasn't ready yet, or else their makeup session would have turned the whole house upside down. Amara's body felt weak from the intensity of his kisses and the way she had missed this side of him. All she knew was that she could no longer wait. The chemistry between them was overwhelming, undeniable. Leaning closer, her voice soft, she told him that she was ready. Liwei's gaze narrowed, locking onto hers, and he asked her if she was certain. Amara nodded, her heart pounding. Without wasting a moment, Liwei swept her into his arms and carried her to the bedroom, the anticipation between them crackling in the air. Liwei sat her on the bed and walked over to the dresser, grabbing the small hidden camera Master Shen had placed there and tearing it off. He then walked back to her. Amara sat there looking at him as he took his shirt off, his gaze never leaving hers. She thought about how she wasn't going to get scared anymore. He was the only man she wanted to give herself to. Liwei stood there looking at her before slowly leaning in and laying her gently on the bed as her hands clutched at his chest. She tried to look away, but Liwei tilted her head back, still keeping his eyes on hers as he stated that he was sure this would be her first time. Amara nodded. With a husky yet gentle voice, he told her that the first few minutes were going to hurt. She panicked a bit, but he leaned closer, telling her that she shouldn't be scared, that he was going to be gentle, and that he wouldn't hurt her. He would go as slow and gentle as he could. Still keeping his eyes on her, he asked if she trusted him, and Amara nodded. He then told her that she should keep her eyes on him and that he would guide her throughout the process. Amara, her voice trembling a bit, asked if she really needed to look into his eyes. Liwei nodded, and leaning in closer, he told her that he wanted her to look into his eyes so she could remember every moment of it, and that looking into his eyes was a way of making sure their energies and souls became one during the process. Before she could ask further questions, Liwei shut her mouth with a kiss as he gently laid his body on hers, kissing her softly and slowly, making sure he wasn't too rough. He tilted her body upwards as he gazed into her eyes, his hands slowly unzipping the back of her dress, making sure it fell off from her body. His touch was deliberate and slow as he began tracing every part of her skin. Leaning in again, he claimed her lips, and she felt his hands sliding down to her stomach, continuing downward. She gasped for air as she looked at him, and he whispered softly that she shouldn't be scared, that he was there and wouldn't hurt her. Amara nodded as her head leaned on his shoulder, feeling the intensity of his touch, the way his fingers traced across her skin. Without thinking, overwhelmed by the intensity, she pressed her lips against his skin, her hands scratching gently on his back as he continued to hold her tightly, making sure she couldn't escape, making sure she felt every touch. Slowly, he laid her down again and began unbuttoning his pants. Amara looked at him, her heart racing. She couldn't believe she was actually doing this. As he leaned in to claim her entirely, his cell phone buzzed. A look of frustration crossed his face, but he chose to ignore it, intertwining her hands with his as he leaned in to kiss her. The phone buzzed again. Amara looked at him and told him that his phone was ringing, but Liwei told her to ignore it. He leaned in again, and the phone buzzed once more, followed this time by countless message notifications. Amara, looking at him, told him that maybe it was something important and that he should check it out. Liwei looked at her and laughed a bit, telling her that the way she was encouraging him to check it meant she wasn't really ready and was still scared. She tried to say something, but he kissed her forehead and looked at her, telling her that there was no need to explain and that he understood. For her, he was willing to control himself and wait, because she was very special. He got off from her and grabbed his cell phone, scanning through the messages before immediately shooting to his feet. As he quickly got dressed, a sense of urgency filled his eyes. Amara looked at him and asked if he was okay. Liwei told her that he was, and that an important part of the mission was about to take place. Amara got up from the bed and walked to him, asking what exactly he was going to do. Liwei, still getting ready, told her that he was going to do something risky. He opened his safe, and Amara's eyes widened as she saw what was inside: guns and bullets. Liwei grabbed a gun, checking if it was loaded, and Amara's heart raced at the sight. She asked him what exactly he was going to do. Finally turning to her, Liwei pulled her close and told her that he would be back soon. He whispered in her ear, asking her to be his good girl and wait for him. He kissed her forehead and rushed out, leaving Amara standing there by herself, clearly stunned. Liwei accelerated, the speed of his car matching the determination written across his face. His hands gripped the steering wheel with calm precision, and with the other he reached for his phone, dialing Master Shen's number. When Master Shen answered, Liwei's voice was steady and calculated as he explained that, just as he had expected, Yan had asked to meet sooner than planned. He said he was heading there now, and that the bigger fish was about to be trapped in the net. Master Shen's tone shifted, asking if Liwei needed backup. Liwei smirked faintly, telling him he could handle it. But Master Shen pressed again, insisting, asking if he was truly sure. Liwei laughed lightly, a dark edge in his voice, and told him he was absolutely sure, that he wouldn't mess up when he had learned from the best. Master Shen finally relented, but told him to at least send his location just in case. He reminded him to be careful, and Liwei promised before hanging up. His eyes hardened, his expression shadowed with determination as the road stretched endlessly ahead. Meanwhile, back at his residence, Amara laid silently on the bed. Her thoughts were tangled, her fingers gripping the pillow tightly as her heart replayed the look in Liwei's eyes before he left. That gaze was not of a man walking into something simple. It was the look of someone walking into danger. She glanced at the safe across the room, remembering the glimpse of guns and bullets. Her heart clenched, fear stirring inside her, but then she steadied herself, remembering the vow she had made. She had promised to stand by him no matter what. He was not a bad man. She knew he wasn't. Everything he did for his mission, for a greater purpose. A small smile touched her lips as her thoughts drifted to the moment they had shared. So close, so fragile, and yet so intense. The memory of his gentleness lingered, the way he had promised he wouldn't hurt her, the way his eyes burned into hers with both fire and restraint. Heat rushed to her cheeks as she hugged the pillow tighter, her heart skipping at the memory of how close they had come to making love. Meanwhile, Liwei's car finally pulled into the hotel Yan had sent him. He killed the engine and sat in silence for a moment, his sharp eyes scanning the building. Pulling out his phone, he sent Master Shen his location and then dialed Yan's number. When she answered, her voice was cool and teasing as she told him the room number, 177. Liwei hung up without another word and made his way inside. The corridors were dimly lit, and each step echoed against the walls. He reached room 177, his presence tall and unshaken, and pushed the door open. Inside, the room was empty, too quiet. He sat down, his expression calm, and waited. After a few minutes, he picked up his phone again, calling Yan. She answered, saying she would be there soon. He hung up. Moments later, the door finally creaked open. Liwei looked over, and Yan's mother entered, her posture regal, exuding an aura of power and control. A bodyguard followed closely behind, his expression stern, his eyes sharp. The woman's presence immediately shifted the air in the room, heavy and commanding.